In this first section, we are going to build using Bootstrap the user interface, and then in the next section we are going to build the functionality of the app using JavaScript. So let's get started. I'm going to open Sublime, and I'm going to head over to my terminal, and I'm going to navigate into my projects directory, and I'm going to create a project directory for my app, which is I'm going to call it weather. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to cd into weather. Next, I'm going to create an index.html page, and I'm going to open that in Sublime. So I'm going to browse over, and I'm going to, if I can, drag over. No, I don't know why Ubuntu, in this version of Ubuntu, dragging things is so complicated. It's kind of difficult. So another editor pop up here in the background, so I'm going to close it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to type HTML. I'm going to press tab, and that's going to give me the basic skeleton of the page. And so for the title, I'm going to name it Weather App. And since I will be using Bootstrap, I need to get the Bootstrap CDN. So I'm going to head over to Bootstrap, getting started, and I'm going to copy the Bootstrap CDN. I'm going to place it here, and since my app has a lot of icons, as you can see, I have the rain icon, I have this thermometer here, I have some small icons here in front of the wind speed, humidity, and wind description. So I'm using quite a few icons, and also over here in the Navbar, kind of like a logo. So mainly I'm using, since they're all weather icons, there is a website called Weather Icons. Actually, it's not a website, it is a GitHub project. So I'm going to click on that, and as you can see, you can use this service. The author of this website provides an API, a CDN, which we can use. I'm going to search for it. And I'm going to get the minimized version, so I'm going to copy it, head back into Sublime, and I'm going to make some comments here. Bootstrap CDN, actually just Bootstrap, and down here where the icons, and it's a link, and inside the href I'm going to paste the link that I just copied from here. So I want to get one more icon, and one more CDN, and this one is going to be for Font Awesome. Font Awesome CDN. I'm going to copy this one too. Like I said, in this section we are only going to do the user interface. I'm going to copy Font Awesome, and that's about everything that I need to import for my frameworks. I'm going to head over the body section, and I'm going to create a div with class of hero, and I'm going to press tab and I want to create this div because if you look at the app, notice that I have an image as a background, but if I go over to the next div down, which is the div with the class of hero, and I navigate into the background color, and now I uncheck that, notice that now the background image becomes even more visible. And the reason is that I'm using this this div as a transparent overlay to kind of smooth the background image a little bit, and that creates a better look to the application. So I have a background image set at the body tag, and then I have a transparent overlay set at the hero class. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do most of the styling inside the same index.html. I'm going to do it right here at the just right before the end of the head section. So I'm going to say style, press tab, and I'm going to write my style here, and then later I will move it into a different file. I think it's easier for me to do it in the same page, since I don't have to switch between pages. I just can't scroll up, down. It makes it a lot easier, at least for me. I find it easier. So I'm going to create a rule for my body section, and I'm going to, and then I'm going to say background image, and I have a background image already selected, which I need to go back into my folder. I'm going to create a new directory, and I'm going to call it img, and this is where I'm going to place my background image, which I have where I have it, I believe it's somewhere. Okay, here we go. I'm going to provide the GitHub, the repo, the link to the GitHub repository later, so if you want to follow along and check out the code. So the name of the image is it's inside the image img repository directory, and the name is city_vector, as it is a vector image. Going to right click on Sublime and click on Open in Browser, is I'm going to start working with my application. And I can see I don't have the image displaying, and that's because I'm missing URL. Save that, refresh, and here we go. So I'm going to next I'm going to say min height 100 BH, background size, I'm going to set it to cover, and background position, I'm going to set it to center. Background repeat, set to none. Actually, no repeat. And margin 0 auto. And finally, I'm going to set the text to white. And I'm going to save that, refresh, and that's the intended look of the background. And the next section will be the hero section, which is the overlay, the transparent overlay, which is this section right here. So I'm going to create another rule. This one is for the hero class, and I'm going to say position absolute and min height 100 VH, min width also 100 VW, and top 0 and bottom 0. And for background, I'm going to use color, background color, and I'm going to set this one to RGBA 31, 34, 118, and for the transparency level I'm going to use 0.5. I'm going to save and I'm going to refresh the page, and that is the intended look. Notice that it helps smooth the image in the background. It gives it a better feel. So next I'm going to work on the Navbar. I don't know why this thing pop up here. I'm going to, okay, here we go. So I'm going to head back into Bootstrap. I'm going to say get Bootstrap and click on documentation. And I'm going to say inside the search bar, Navbar, press enter. And I'm looking for something very simple, something like this. So I'm going to copy it. Back into Sublime. And inside the div section, I'm going to make a comment here. Transparent overlay. And here I'm going to say Navbar, and I'm going to paste my Navbar and I'm going to properly indent it. Refresh the page, and that's my Navbar. Of course, I need to make a few changes. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these two classes, Navbar light and background light. So I'm going to remove that. Going to save, and let's see what does it look like. It's still there, even if you don't see it, it's still there. I'm going to style it, so I'm going to head over to my style section, and I'm going to say comment says Navbar, and I'm going to say Navbar, and I'm going to give it a background color, we say RGB, '69, 34, actually 69, 106, and 171. I'm going to save that, press the page, and now we have a Navbar with similar color, kind of with the same theme, matching the same theme as the background image. The next thing that we want to do is to add a logo to this section right here in the title to the Navbar. So I'm going to add a strong tag, and I'm going to say local, and at the end I'm going to say weather. I'm going to save that, refresh, and it's right there. I just need to change the color. So I'm going to create another rule. This one will be Navbar A, which is the anchor tag, and I'm going to say color white and font size, let's see, 25 pixels. Refresh, and that looks better. Will be to add a logo to the Navbar. So I'm going to remove the image, and I'm going to add an icon with class of FA sun-o, and I'm going to close the tag, save it, and refresh. And that's our logo. I want to space that a little bit. Save, refresh again. Better. So the next part is to add a date section to the right hand side of the Navbar. So I'm going to create underneath the anchor tag, I'm going to create a span tag, and I'm going to give it an ID of date, because I probably want to style it later, in a class of lead to make it jump to the reader a little bit. And I'm going to say that it is 12 o'clock p.m. and let's say March 11, 2018. Save that, refresh, and it's starting to look better. Eventually we want to, using JavaScript, update this section here. Next we're going to make a comment saying weather section, and I'm going to create a div with class container, and inside that div I'm going to place another div with class row, and I'm going to create another div give this div a class of weather, and I'm going to come here to make a comment that says weather section, and I'm going to start the weather class. So I'm going to create a rule that says border 1 pixel solid white. I'm going to space it to the kind of the center of the page. So I'm going to say margin top 10 rem, and background color RGBA, and I'm going to use some dark background. So I'm going to set it to black, and for the transparency is 0.5, and I'm going to say let's refresh it and see what we got. I'm going to save it, I'm going to refresh it, and nope. And it is probably because we don't have any data. We haven't specified the width of the height for that for our div. So I'm going to go back into the div, and I'm going to say MX auto to center and to center to the middle of the page, and I'm going to say column 8. I'm going to set it to 8 columns width. I'm going to refresh that, and notice that I have the div is showing now. So next I'm going to add another div, and this one I'm going to call it div, and I'm going to add a class of weather head, and I'm going to press enter, and inside here I'm going to use an h1 tag, and I'm going to give it an ID of location. I'm going to temporarily say Miami, US. I'm going to save that, refresh, and I'm going to add a class of text center. That's better. And I'm going to add another class of display 4. I refresh that, and it makes it a little bit bigger. And next I'm going to, down here, create another div with another row class. And inside here I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to give this one ID of description, and underneath I want to create another div with ID of temperature. So inside description I want to create an icon, so I'm going to say icon ID. I want to give an ID also, icon description, as I want to be able to style it, and I'm going to have more than one icon for the class, because this will be an icon, a weather icon, identifying the description of the weather. I'm going to head to weather icons, and if I scroll down, I'm going to choose any weather icon. Notice that the weather icon has a class along with the weather icon, and so that's what we're going to use. We're going to use that class. So I'm going to say for weather icon, I guess, and I will say we home, and I'm going to set this one to 200. And I'm going to add a p tag underneath that says thunderstorm. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to refresh it, and my weather icon is not showing. So I'm going to head over to the browser, and I'm going to click on network, and I'm going to select fonts. See, my fonts are actually downloading, so I'm going to refresh the page, and I have a status of 200, so most likely they are my app is talking to both URLs and downloading the icons. So I'm going to go back into style, and I'm going to, my icon has an ID of icon description. I'm going to say icon description, and I'm going to say the font size to 5 rem, and the padding top 2 rem. I refresh. I'm going to head over to my p tag, which is thunderstorm, and I want to give an ID, actually a class, an ID of description, and I'm going to make it somewhere font size to ramps and see how it looks. Okay, that's better. So I want to, and that is for the description. I want to have on this side the temperature. So I need to evenly divide those two sections. So I'm going to give the first div a column 6, which is half, and then for the second div I want to give it also column 6, and of course this needs to go inside class. In this section I'm going to add another icon. Actually I want to add first, so I'm going to set it to 75 degree, and for the icon I'm going to set it to ID icon thermometer, and for the classes I'm going to use we thermometer. I'm going to save it and see how it looks. Okay. Need to remove this H from here, save it again, refresh, and that's my thermometer right there. So I'm going to style it. So I'm going to go back into the style section, and I'm going to say ID of temperature, font size of let's say 7 rem. Let's refresh that, and that looks better. However, the icon is way too big. Next I need to center these two. Remember, this one is inside a div and this one is inside a div, and both div are set to use half of the row. So next I'm going to say text center, and also text center, and save that, refresh, and okay. So if I go to that div, I can see that I misspelled text. I'm going to save it, refresh, and now it looks better. Next I need to add another section down here. This one will be for humidity, wind speed, and the wind degree or wind direction. I also want to make the edges a little bit rounder, so I'm going to head back into the weather class, and I'm going to add a rule or a property that says border radius, and I'm going to set that one to 20 pixels, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, that's better. Also, the thermometer icon is way too big. It's a lot bigger than the numbers, and that's probably because it's getting a different rule applied to it. So I'm going to use an ID, and this one has the ID of icon thermometer. I'm going to say icon thermometer, and I'm going to say font size. I'm going to set it to 5 rem, and save and refresh, see what it looks like. Okay, a lot better. I think that is the perfect size. So The next thing will be to okay, so I named this div, and everything here is inside this div, which is the weather head. This is the header section of my card, if you will. And so I need to create a body section inside here for the other items. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to place a comment that says weather body section. And I'm going to create a div class of weather body. And inside that div, I'm going to create another div with a row, the class of a row. And inside this row, I'm going to add three columns. So the first column will be a div with class of humidity. The second column will be a div with class of wind. And the next column, I'm sorry, will be a div with class of wind degree. Inside humidity, I'm going to create a span tag that says humidity, and here I'm going to create a span tag that says wind speed, and here I'm going to create a span tag that says wind degree. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh it, and that's how it looks. However, what I want to do now is to evenly space these three columns in a way that occupy the whole width of the weather section. So I'm going to go back into humidity and div, and I'm going to say, actually I can do this in all three divs at the same time. I'm going to say column, and I'm going to evenly divide it into 4 columns, and I'm going to refresh that, and that looks better. Next I can say text center, refresh, and better. So next I'm going to give it a border top and a border button, and so I'm going to come to my style section, and I'm going to say humidity, comma, that wind, I believe it's wind or wind speed, let me see. This one has a class of wind, so next is a wind degree, and so I'm going to say border top to 1 pixel solid white, and I'm going to do the same thing, border bottom 1 pixel solid white. Save that, refresh, and that's my border. I want to increase the size of the font to something like font size 2 rem. Refresh that and see what it looks like. And that's too much. Let's try 1 rem. Maybe 1.5 rem. Okay, and so what I want to do next, I want to create an icon. I want to insert an icon in every single one of these divs. So I'm going to say icon with a class remember, all these icons are available through weather icon. I already know the icon that I have to insert. This one is with the class of we own. This one is 200, and this one is raindrop, and I'm going to save it, refresh icon, and I'm going to remove the own section. I'm going to save it, refresh again, and now you can see the raindrops. I'm going to create another icon for this too. I'm going to head over the next section. And for this one, I'm going to add a class of we, and we strong wind. Save, refresh, and I mistype strong. Refresh again, and that is the icon. And finally, I'm going to add another icon. This one has a class of we, and we direction upright. I'm going to refresh that, and that is it. So next I want to add another section down here that is going to have the actual data, the actual humidity, wind speed, and degree. Remember, all this data, all this so far the data that we're entering is just static data. It's just fake data for the sake of mock of designing the user interface. In the next section, we are going to do the JavaScript and actually reflect live data inside the application. So I'm going to create another section down here at the end of the row tag of the row div, and I'm going to create another row. So I'm going to say div.row, and in this section I'm going to actually I want to make a comment here that says weather body data, and I want to create a div that says humidity, and I already have a class of humidity here, so I might need to change that up. I'm going to create another div with class of wind data, and another div with class of wind degree. And again, every single one of these divs, I want to make them column 4 in text center. And I'm going to enter some fake data inside. So here I'm going to say 75 degrees for the humidity. Inside here I'm going to say 34 miles per hour. And actually that's a lot of wind, so I'm going to say 3.4 miles per hour. And finally I'm going to say 90 degrees. And I'm going to say I believe it's n degrees, or maybe degrees and comma. Save that and then see. Nope. What is the degree symbol? Okay, it's n degrees. I'm going to copy it. Basically, change this. Save. And, refresh. And that looks better on my wind speed data. I need to increase the font size for these three numbers. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change this class to humidity data, since I already have a humidity for this div right here. And I'm going to go back into my style section, and I'm going to create another rule for humidity data, comma, when what was it, when okay, I repeated the same class, so I guess I'm going to, instead I'm going to set it to win data, and I'm going to say font size to 2 rem, padding top, I'm going to set it to 1 rem, and padding bottom also to 1 rem. Refresh that, and nope. And I can see I already have two repeated class here that are contradicting each other, so I'm going to fix that next. It is not wind, it's actually wind data. So I'm going to change this to wind data and wind data in degree. Save that, refresh, and now it looks a lot better. And I think that's it for as far as designing the UI, the user interface. In the next section, we are going to do the JavaScript functionality, in which we get to request data from the REST API and render that data inside our application. And once again, I hope you found the video helpful, and as always, remember to subscribe. Thank you.